My name is Maxwell. The story I am about to share is a story of personal strife and revelation. It started when my wife, Chelsea, decided to have a dinner date with my boss against my will. So I made the decision to pack my bags and vanish. Let me provide some context. My and Chelsea's personalities could not be more opposite. I'm introverted, she's extroverted. I'm introverted, she's very extroverted and magnetic. She was deep into corporate before we got married, and she did that until right before we were married, then left to focus on what she really liked to do, and that was the events. She got this right as she's built a solid client base for all events from weddings, corporate events to charity fundraisers. I was on the other end in cyber corporate side. Our relationship thrived despite our differing personalities. We were both ambitious, but in very different ways. Chelsea was a social butterfly and I an intense introvert absorbed by my work. We fit together, he and I. We had 5 years together, 2 as husband and wife. As of then, it had seemed indemnifiable. But the hindsights of history have a way of bringing the cracks out in even the most solid foundations, cracks that remain unseen until it's near the end. I'd been toiling in cybersecurity for a while, and then an opportunity came along. I was headhunted by the smaller boutique renowned for being hardcore, but also keeping top echelon. The job had better pay and good benefits, which he liked. I knew there would be no rest for the weary. This company was not going to settle for second rate. I was still feeling very sure of myself, though, and I had no idea that this job would be the beginning of the end of my marriage. One day I went to have my car serviced and found out that it needed more work done than I thought. I texted Chelsea, "Can you drive me home from work?" She said yes without any hesitation. I was still working important job when she showed up and she waited in my office. Half an hour later, my boss came in. He was usually serious and businesslike in his approach, but on this occasion he was all smiles when he spotted Chelsea, who was sat in the corner with her head down almost in embarrassment. I presented them, noting that she was my wife, which was when it got a little weird. He started asking questions about her event planning business and seemed genuinely interested. He even jokingly promised she could plan company parties. We all laughed, but I watched as he requested her business card, suggesting they could work together. Now, looking back, that represented a pretty profound shift, but I didn't realize that at the time. Months went by, and my boss's remarks on Chelsea's beauty and my great fortune seemed innocuous. But one weekend, searching for my lost phone, I grabbed Chelsea's phone to ring mine. But then I started scrolling through her recent calls, and my alarm bells went off. I hadn't realized how often my boss's name showed up, especially during business hours. Out of curiosity, I read their messages. What I found was startling, as it was very clear my boss was hitting on her, telling her she looked good and asking her how her day was. Chelsea's answers sounded almost flippant, as if she was quite unaware of his purpose. But as I delved deeper, I saw a pattern. When his flattery seemed not to take, he would shift to the promise of work, promising her clients and gigs. It was a pretty good ploy to get her to like him in a way. Their correspondence graduated to lunch dates, as I learned from the messages. He started asking for dinner meetings, and even though Chelsea initially demurred, something about my disapproval, my boss assured her I wouldn't mind and painted me as someone not worried with such weak-kneed matters. He also went so far as to try and impugn my character and insisted I had indiscretions of my own. This is all dirty playing to divide and justify. Chelsea walked right into it with confused/vulnerable questions. She got more cautious around me and kept her phone away from me after I found her messages. I didn't get another chance to snoop on her phone until the following week. When I finally did, I discovered not only messages but also explicit photographs from my boss, making me more distrustful. It was a betrayal that cut to my core, and yet I didn't confront Chelsea right away. I preserved the evidence, screenshots and pictures, with intentions of responding to what occurred in a thoughtful manner. I had a long, hard think about it that night and was brave enough to approach her. I confronted her straight up about her relationship with my boss. Chelsea appeared caught off guard at first before getting on the defensive, downplaying the exchanges as nothing more than harmless and polite conversations. She disclosed that she would be having a dinner meeting with him, adding that it was required for her business. When I suggested she cancel, she told me I was controlling and that her career was more important than my feelings. I told her I wasn't going to be there once she left if she didn't listen to what I had asked for. The next day had an edge to it, and in the evening, as I saw her wearing a tight black dress we associate from when I first commented on it. She inquired whether she looked nice, but I was silent. She didn't wait for an answer, picked up her bag and got up and walked away without looking back. As the door closed, I felt a surge of desolation. Then I felt a buzz on my phone, a text message from my boss, mocking me for the fact that Chelsea was spending the night with him. That was when it hit me. I couldn't live there anymore. It didn't feel like home. I threw some essentials into a duffel bag and drove more than 100 miles, arriving, in the middle of the night, at my parents' home. But I let the app remain open, and sure enough, I was back to staring at my phone, waiting for Chelsea to message or call, but no response arrived. I passed out on the couch, hoping she would have some fucking sense. The morning after alarmed me to the fact. Our marriage was over. She had not called. With that understanding, I disappeared. I had long fantasized about living overseas, but I had sublimated those desires when we decided we wanted to start a family. Now, with nothing left to lose, I made a quick decampment. I moved all our joint savings, sold our investments, and within an hour, everything was moved to an account based internationally. I booked a one-way ticket to Mexico, but not before sending one last WhatsApp message to my boss's company group chat containing screenshots of all the incriminating conversations and photos I had accumulated. At the airport in Mexico, I turned on my phone to find it flooded with notifications. My boss was freaking out, trying to contain the damage, and Chelsea's messages veered from confusion to urgency. I chose silence. A week on, and she finally confessed to what had happened and the truth about my boss. I got no pleasure from reading her words. They were a sad reminder of all that had occurred. I said in as few words as possible, I shall always think well of you, and you have hurt me. In Mexico, I took refuge in freelancing where I would apply my knowledge in cybersecurity to consult small businesses. The work was far from glamorous compared with my old corporate salary, but it gave me flexibility and peace. For as much as I would still think of Chelsea, I knew that if anyone showed you their true colors, you will never unsee it. You can't go back to someone who hurt and disrespected you. That is the reality I faced.